see. Hasn't made a shot before that.
Pretty good so far here in the first half.
Live. Oh, everyone. For the Black Bears finding the ball.
At this point, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to call again back on the floor Miss Gwyneth Dorado to sing a short tribute to one of the greatest to ever play the game of basketball. Please all rise as we give tribute to one of the best, a legend, and a great influence to the field of basketball, Kobe Bryant. Again, on stage, Miss Gwyneth Dorado.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. Through many dangers, toils and snares, I have already come. 'Tis grace that brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Now let's give a big hand to Kobe Bryant. Rest in peace, Mamba. Both teams may proceed to the center court for the pre-game handshake.
You will forever be in our hearts, basketball legend, the Black Mamba, Kobe Bryant. And coming to you live from the city of Santa Rosa inside the Santa Rosa Multipurpose Complex in Mega Manila, Philippines. This is the 10th season of the ASEAN Basketball League, Rise to Greatness. It is the home team, Alab Pilipinas, versus the Singapore Slingers. And this game is watched live on SNA, on Liga, on iWant, and through ABS-CBN Sports' live streaming website. And this coverage is brought to you by ABS-CBN Sports and Virtual Playground. Good evening, basketball fans from around the world. This is Migs Bustos on call for tonight's coverage together with Marco Benitez. Hi, Marco B. Good evening.
Good evening, Migs. And again, a touching tribute to a legend already Kobe Bryant, and he has been the inspiration not just of the players on the floor, but almost all the Filipinos who are avid basketball fans.
And perhaps a much-needed inspiration for Alab Pilipinas right now. This is a crucial game for them at home to solidify themselves in the team standings.
Right now, San Miguel Alab Pilipinas in third spot, 7-4, while Singapore Slingers, a 2-game winning streak for them at fifth spot, looking to build a 3-game winning streak against a team that has become their rival over the past few years. This is going to be the third matchup in a 4-game series this season, and both teams have split their season series so far.
Yes, you're right. This season is at 1-1 between Alab Pilipinas and the Singapore Slingers. And speaking of the Slingers, they've had a tough matchup against the Hong Kong Eastern team. In their last game, they were down by 18 points, but they found a way to climb back and get their 5th win of the season.
That's right. Singapore Slingers not really known as a high-scoring team. They were held to just 10 points in the second quarter mix, but they unleashed a 13-2 run in that last few minutes of the fourth quarter, led of course by Marcus Elliott, former Hong Kong Eastern World Import MVP. Finished the game with a game-high 23 points. You look at their numbers, 40 points in the paint. They really dominated that area, of course led by Anthony McLean, and they're going to look to do that again in this game against Alab.
And exactly a week ago, last Sunday, Alab Pilipinas had their home game against the Mono Vampire from Thailand. They lost that game, and it was also a bounce-back game for them. They were actually down by as much as 15 in double digits, but heading into the fourth quarter, they made a big run to steal that win in Thailand.
In the same way that Marcus Elliott had his comeback game in Hong Kong, Jason Brickman, former Mono Vampire starting point guard, also had a comeback game. He was held scoreless in the game before that, erupted with a game high or a career high 32 points in that game, 15 of those in the second half, and really led the way together with Nick King for San Miguel Alab Pilipinas.
Now we're going to be talking about players who've had great games against their former teams. First up is Marcus Elliott. He had a revenge game, as you can see on your screens, against, as I mentioned, Hong Kong Eastern. He had 23 points, 11 rebounds, and 8 assists.
You could really see the Marcus Elliott in peak form. 3 out of 8 from the three-point line, 8 of 18 from the field. He was attacking, he was shooting from the outside, and he was really dictating the tempo for the Singapore Slingers.
And Marcus Elliott is a seasoned veteran for the ABL, and always there for his team to lift up their spirits and to be able to come up big, especially in clutch. And speaking of coming up in clutch, Jason Brickman also had a good game, a great game against his former team in Mono Vampire. He actually struggled last Sunday here at home, but then he had 32 points. That was a career high for him.
You could really see Jason Brickman in peak form in that game against Mono Vampire. I guess he was extra motivated playing in his former home crowd. He was hitting from the outside. He was knocking down penetrations, had those beautiful floaters. Also led Alab in the clutch, hit a couple of three-pointers in that fourth quarter together with Nick King. Really sealed the deal, or spearheaded that comeback for San Miguel Alab Pilipinas.
As you mentioned, Marco B, this is a rivalry game, Alab Pilipinas and Singapore Slingers. As we can see the starting lineups: Jason Brickman, Jordan Heading, Sam De Guara, Prince Williams, and Nick King. That is for San Miguel Alab Pilipinas. Meanwhile, for the Singapore Slingers, we have the X-Man, Xavier Alexander, Marcus Elliott, Anthony McLean, Delvin Go, and Leon Kwek. Our officials for tonight's matchup, we have Ho Jan Chang, Johan Cristiana, and T Yong Sen from Malaysia, Chinese Taipei, and Indonesia. So your outlook for today, Marco B, what's it going to be like in the first quarter?
Well, I think both teams will look to dictate the tempo. San Miguel Alab Pilipinas being the higher scoring team, averaging about 90 points per game. We'll look to push the tempo, try to exploit their advantage with Sam De Guara inside the paint, possibly get Anthony McLean into foul trouble, while Slingers, as usual, will be a little more deliberate. We'll try to focus their attack on Xavier Alexander, Anthony McLean as well, attacking Sam De Guara in the post, but Singapore Slingers will look for a defensive, more deliberate type of outing if they want to get a win here.
Brickman with the rock. Brickman puts it up and knocks it down.
And that's a good sign for Coach Jimmy Alapag. Jason Brickman hitting his first attempt of the ball game.
And he had a career high 32, as we mentioned earlier in their previous game. The X-Man, Alexander. Williams is guarding him. Alexander, there is a switch. Drops it off to Anthony McLean inside.
Xavier Alexander draws so much attention. He's so versatile, so patient, so composed in traffic that time, finding the open Anthony McLean.
It's interesting that you mentioned that the Slingers are a defensive-oriented team, but then you have explosive scorers in Alexander and Elliott.
Number 1 in the league in terms of limiting opponents to about 77 points per contest.
Delvin Go with the offensive rebound. Anthony McLean, the big man up top. Leon Kwek puts it up. Is that going to count? But there was a foul off the ball.
Referee signaling that the 3 was going to count. Prince Williams looks like he got hit in the face
by Delvin Go. We see the officials putting up the number 23. But yes, as that shot was in flight, the foul also happened simultaneously, so that shot is going to count, but it's going to be Alab ball. Slingers up 5-2. So it looks like Prince Williams is okay. His third to fourth game today. Heading.
Also key here, Migs, will be the matchups.
Meanwhile, Alexander running the break. Alexander and powers his way in over Jordan Heading. You were talking about the matchups, Marco.
Matchups-wise, as you see Xavier Alexander in the break, almost unstoppable, one of the best in terms of finishing in transition. Matchup-wise, Singapore is a bigger team across all positions, especially in the starting 5. So it's going to be critical who the matchups will be, especially the guy guarding Xavier Alexander.
And Anthony McLean choosing to let Deguara pull it up from that range.
They're going to get Deguara that shot all evening long.
Yep. And it's interesting on how they are actually matched up in height.
Yeah.
Elliott. No go. Offensive rebound by Alexander. At the post is McLean against Deguara. 11 on the shot clock. McLean posting up. McLean with a shimmy. McLean. Oh, Alexander powers his way in.
You cannot miss any blockouts against Xavier Alexander, averaging close to a triple-double. Actually had a triple-double in their last meeting against San Miguel Alab Pilipinas.
With the guard-like move by Sam Deguara, but no foul called there. Brickman to Deguara. Deguara spins, double team. Delvin Go was there.
Great
then
help.
they stopped. Yes, Sam
Great
Deguara.
help there by Delvin Go to really challenge that shot attempt by Deguara.
Elliott now to the post in Delvin Go. He spins, traveling. So a good start, Marco, by the Slingers already at 9-4.
Well, normally they're the more deliberate team, but given the opportunity to run to get second chance opportunities, Singapore Slingers will capitalize.
Currently, Alab Pilipinas is at 7-4. Singapore Slingers is at 5-5. At the top of the standings is Mono Vampire at 9-4.
Singapore actually started out the season on a 1-4 record, but was able to get string some victories together.
Williams at the right wing, going one-on-one against Elliott. Deguara has the rock. Deguara with a jump stop. Heading, puts it up. Too strong. Offensive rebound by Deguara to the delight of the home crowd. Deguara posting up. There's the double. Heading to Brickman. 10 on the 24. Gets a pick from Williams. Brickman. Make that king rather. Williams now drives. Williams. And McLean taps it out. Elliott gets the rock. Delvin Go running the break. But good stop by Heading. And he was fouled. 2 free throws by Delvin Go. Meanwhile, let's turn it over now to Franny Reyes, who has a report as she got to talk to the Singapore Slingers before the game. Franny?
Yes, I got to talk to Coach Neo Bengshang of the Singapore Slingers about their mindset for today's game. And he told me that they have to come out hungrier than the San Miguel Alab Pilipinas because he knows that they want to win this whole thing. They're coming out with a positive mindset and using physicality to their advantage. So let's see if that will lead them to victory against the second seed team. Migs and Marco.
You're right, Franny, because Alab Pilipinas is coming off a momentum win after that bounce back game against the Mono Vampire last week. And it's always dangerous if you're going up against a team that has great momentum, Marco.
That's right, but Singapore Slingers also with a winning streak of their own, defeating the Saigon Heat, also defeating the Mono Vampire Basketball Club. Hong Kong Eastern in their last game. That was a closed-door ball game. So 2 straight wins for Singapore Slingers, and this is a matchup I feel that they really relish playing against San Miguel Alab Pilipinas, as Jason Brickman so far still perfect from the field.
And speaking of relishing, Jason Brickman still coming off that great game and has that momentum, puts it up and knocks it down from the three-point land. 3-point lead by the Slingers. Elliott, X-Man, Xavier, drops it down to Delvin Go.
Xavier Alexander so patient in traffic, in the paint.
Heading for 3. He is a 3-point specialist in Jordan Heading. He finished 8th all-time in scoring for his former university in California Baptist in Adelaide, Australia.
And you know,
yes.
Go ahead with Marcus Elliott and Xavier Alexander, even the perimeter players of Singapore, such great rebounders, Migs.
It's going to be dangerous because Alexander, even though he's a scorer, but he always has that energy on defense. As Jason Brickman knocks down the 3 earlier. And Alexander, that was a good play, good assist by Alexander to Delvin Go inside.
Jason Brickman does not take a lot of 3-point shots, but he is very consistent from that area. Averages about 51%. But he's such an unselfish player. Averaging also close to 10 assists per ball game.
Jason Brickman, one of the local players for Alab Pilipinas. He spent 3 years with the Mono Vampire Basketball Club. Mother is Filipina.
Led them to the finals together with Mike Singletary. Sam DeGuara was also part of that squad.
And now he plays, and Sam plays for Alab. Williams kicks it out. Maya kind of hesitates for 3, and that is good.
That's a great look there. Great kick out coming from Prince Williams. In and out type of basketball for the home team.
And Maya Gray scored 8 points in their last game against Mono. McLean, again a drop pass to Delvin Go, so just filling in the gaps, right place at the right time.
Nice communication there from San Miguel Alab Pilipinas. As DeGuara went out, San Miguel Alab Pilipinas dropping to a zone, but nobody there to pick up Delvin Go.
Nick King powers his way up, but great D by Marcus Elliott.
Asking for a foul there. Looks like he had good reason to.
Elliott, Delvin Go. Elliott kicks it out to Leon Kwek. Inside to McLean. This is a mismatch against Domingo. McLean ball fake. McLean powers. Triple team. McLean banks it in.
That's exactly what Singapore did when DeGuara went out due to foul trouble in their previous matchup. Really took over the inside as Nick King connects inside as well.
Great cut by Nick King. Great find. Better find by Maya Gray. 17-12 Singapore. As you mentioned, going down to the zone is Alab. Kwek for 3, too strong. Domingo gets the board.
And I think San Miguel Alab Pilipinas will live with that outside shot from Leon Kwek.
Bad pass by Williams. Drops it down to Lawrence Domingo inside.
Favorite reverse layup by Lawrence Domingo. Another nice pass there from Nick King.
So it has been a high-octane first quarter for both teams.
And I think this is a pace that Alab prefers rather than a slow down, deliberate type of ball game.
And also they can run when they get the stop. King to Maya. Maya kicks it out. Williams for 3, and he puts it in.
And look at the flow of the offense for San Miguel Alab Pilipinas. Everybody's pumped up.
Timeout Singapore, 17-all is the score.
Nais namin hilingin sa lahat, maaari po tayo kumuha ng pictures at videos ngayong gabi. Pakiiwasan na po pakibantay ang ating mga flash para po sa ating mga players. And of course, you can follow Alab Pilipinas at Instagram. It's at Alab Pilipinas. And on Facebook, it is at Alab Pilipinas Official. City of Santa Rosa, magingay para sa San Miguel Alab Pilipinas!
Marco, so many big men have come and gone for the Singapore Slingers, but how valuable is Anthony McLean now for their team?
Well, I think Anthony McLean gives them that stability, gives them that presence inside the paint. He's averaging a double-double against San Miguel Alab Pilipinas, he's averaging about 23 points and close to 14 rebounds per ball game. So he has really been imposing his will in the past few games for the Singapore Slingers.
He scored 18 points and 16 rebounds last game against Hong Kong Eastern, and Anthony McLean, just like the likes of their big men, I believe
Chris Charles,
yes.
Also, he poses a matchup problem for the team, the smaller teams, the guys like the Macau Wolf Warriors, the Saigon Heat, who do not have a legitimate imposing 7-footer. He's a good matchup for Sam Deguara when Deguara is on the floor, but because Deguara has the tendency to get into foul trouble when Deguara steps up, you see San Miguel Alab Pilipinas having a difficult time matching up with Anthony McLean. That's the reason why they like to push. They prefer to push the ball because that sort of negates the imposing presence of McLean.
So as you mentioned a while ago, Sam Deguara and Anthony McLean, more or less they are matched up in terms of height and size. And now Deguara is out, McLean is in. It's going to be an adjustment now for Alab Pilipinas. Alexander, double teamed. Oh, McLean inside, but he stripped. Ball got stripped. Ball knocked it out of his knees. Alab Pilipinas basketball.
That time they were lucky that Jason Brickman had quick hands, was able to tap it off of McLean. Otherwise, it would have been an easy dunk once again from Anthony McLean.
It's going to be interesting now on how Alab can outrun Singapore. Brickman, King, played 10 games for the LA Lakers in the Summer League back in 2018. Domingo puts it up. Not known to be a jump shooter, but then it was cool as ice on that one.
That's a big plus here for San Miguel Alab Pilipinas. Domingo, 4 early points for them.
Domingo had 4 points off 2 drop passes by Alexander and McLean, but again back-to-back turns, Alab Pilipinas ball.
There you see, they're going to give Domingo that mid-range shot. That was a good challenge from Anthony McLean. Domingo giving a good contribution to Alab on both ends of the floor.
So that Domingo jump shot was a go-ahead basket. King! No foul call, but powers and muscles his way in.
And this is what Alab needs for their imports to be and their locals to be clicking on all cylinders.
So far so good. 4 straight points for Alab when Deguara is out. Go. McLean. Offensive rebound. Foul called. Loose ball foul is called against Nick King.
You see, Lawrence Domingo is the guy manning that middle part of that 2-3 zone because he's quicker on defense as compared to Nick King. Nick King playing that bottom wing or bottom baseline, as you saw that going up hard there was Nick King.
Couple of substitutions now for Coach Neo Bang Sheng. Number 13, Jun Yuan Lim is in the floor.
Deguara also back in the game.
Go against Deguara. Go, kicks it out. Oh, great vision by Brickman. Now running is Alab Pilipinas. 4-on-3 break. Brickman now to Maya for 3. Too strong. Domingo gets the rebound. Brickman. A great handle showed by Brickman. Oh, good drop pass inside to Nick King.
How about the familiarity? How about the chemistry here between Jason Brickman and Nick King?
Also, the fans are loving it. I can hardly hear you, Marco B. Marcus Elliott with a floater, and that is good.
This is the time for Marcus Elliott and Xavier Alexander to really impose themselves.
That was a great pass by Brickman, but then Deguara got off balanced. He actually saved it, but still Alab Pilipinas ball.
You see, Migs, how openings arise whenever San Miguel Alab Pilipinas gets out in transition. They're able to find Jeremiah Gray on the corners. They're able to find Sam Deguara streaking down court. As you see this move once again from Jason Brickman, and then anticipating the cut from Nick King.
So far it is the offense of Alab Pilipinas has been doing wonders for them. Just pushing the tempo. Earlier, Slingers came up with a strong start at 9-4. Got a go ahead basket by Lourdes Domingo. Now they're up by 4.
And you know, in their last matchup last January 12, Alab was not able to break 20 points in any of the 4 quarters. And Jeremiah Gray already gives them 25 with still a minute remaining here in the first. Or 25 rather.
Scramble for the loose ball. Calvin Lim. Meanwhile, this one by Jeremiah Gray gets a good screen from Sam Deguara. Knocks down the jump shot from the short corner. Now it's 25-19. Quarter's not yet over and they're at 25. Still zone D by Alab. Lim. Lim again. Calvin Lim this time. And 3 in the key. Back-to-back-to-back turnovers for the Slingers.
Imposing presence there from Sam Deguara. Did not, just had to stay upright. Calvin Lim, too hesitant to make an attempt. Ended up with a turnover for Anthony McLean.
Leading scorers now for Alab Pilipinas. Nick King has 6. Jason Brickman and Maya Gray both have 5 apiece. Meanwhile, the leading scorer for the Slingers so far is Delvin Go with 5 points.
Xavier Alexander and Marcos Elliott so far have not really gotten their groove.
Louis Vigil is in the game. He played crucial minutes against
yes.
Mono Vampire. And Andre Carahut and Xavier Alexander. Possession arrow points to the Slingers. Can be a 2-for-1, Marco?
Well, no, Alab will still have the last say.
Okay. Lim. So the locals getting minutes now for the Slingers. Elliott against Maya Gray. Marcus Elliott again with a floater. Deguara gets a rebound. Now going for the fast break. 1 and 2. Maya Gray. Oh, what a strip by Lim. 6 seconds to go in the first. Lim kicks it out to the X-Man, Alexander. Elliott. That is too strong. And a great show of energy by Alab Pilipinas to end the first quarter.
Impressive quarter for San Miguel Alab Pilipinas. Really dictated the tempo and really shared that basketball excellently here.
We can see some of the highlights in the first quarter. Sam Deguara knocking down that jump shot. And Delvin Go already with 5 points of 2 extra passes by McLean and Alexander.
He has been the beneficiary of those penetrations for the Singapore Slingers, and Marcus Elliott and Xavier Alexander have to be more aggressive on the offensive end, really make life easier for guys like Anthony McLean and Delvin Go.
After the first 10 minutes of play, Alab Pilipinas leads by 6 points, 25-19. As before the start of the second quarter, our player highlight, Nick King, had a big game against Mono Vampire, Marco.
Well, he was crucial in that ball game. Had 26 points. Biggest triple for him was at triple that tied that ball game at 79 apiece. And so far, he is off to a good start in this ball game with 6 points already in the first quarter.
Well, Nick King has been one of the prized recruits and additions for Alab Pilipinas. He actually played 10 games for the LA Lakers in the 2018 NBA Summer League. He averaged 8 and 4 during that season, and he tells me earlier that his favorite is LeBron James. But then that family culture of the Lakers really made a good mark on him, and as he remembers Kobe Bryant, you know, even though that's not his first idol, he always tries to study and copy that Mamba mentality. And one of the few players, I think, in the ABL that has actually worked with the Lakers.
That's an impressive story there from Nick King. And so far against Singapore Slingers this season, averaging about 10 points, a double-double against Singapore Slingers, as Jeremiah Gray waxing hot here in the first half. Another triple for Gray.
And that's why Gray is there, because of his offense. Jeremiah Gray, his second 3 of the ball game. 28-19 for Alab. Driving. It's Calvin Lim. Go. Deguara gets the rebound.
It's actually a good ploy by Alab Pilipinas to play zone, because Singapore Slingers not really known as a great 3-point shooting team, only averaging about 33%. They're 6th in the league.
Maya. Rosa is in. Gray 8 on the 24. Vigil. Deguara. Maya, no time left.
Not aware of the shot clock there. I think Sam DeGuara could have probably taken a shot a little bit earlier and did not have to dish off to Jeremiah Gray, who had nothing to do in the corner against the defense by Anthony McLean. It's a 9-point advantage right now for San Miguel Alab Pilipinas. And again, Alab still sticking with that 2-3 zone, forcing the Slingers to beat them from the outside.
Alexander. Oh, tight D showed by Alab.
That's going to be a unsportsmanlike foul there from Anthony McLean, dropping Brandon Ganuelas Rosser, who also did an excellent job, Migs, of selling that call. There's that sequence once again. Almost four Alab players collapsing on Xavier Alexander, and clear on the replay. That's an unsportsmanlike foul there for McLean.
Clearly an unsportsmanlike foul. He knocked out Ganuelas Rosser over the shoulder.
Over the shoulder, you see the head whiplashing there, and Ganuelas Rosser falling to the hard court.
Let's turn it over now to Franny Reyes with her second quarter report. Franny?
Earlier, I got to speak to Coach Chappy Calianta of Alab Pilipinas, and he told me that they're flying out to Malaysia in 7 or so hours with such a tight schedule. He told me that they rest better when they win. Now, they've had a major boost in morale from their last game, and as you guys mentioned, they have the momentum and motivation to see this game through. Let's see them continue to push the tempo, but let's see if they can maintain that lead so that they can sleep a little easier tonight. Back to you guys.
So it is a question now of maintaining this good lead. 11-point lead by Alab Pilipinas. Is it a case now, Marco, of frustrating McLean with that zone defense? Because clearly it's hard to pass inside.
That's right. I think they've started out with a good strategy here, because not only do you crowd the paint against Anthony McLean, you also force guys like Xavier Alexander, Anghan Bin, even Marcus Elliott to try to beat you from the outside when it's only Marcus Elliott who is the most consistent three-point shooter on this squad.
So it's all about picking your poison.
Yeah.
And they choose to cross out Anthony McLean.
And really trying to exploit the weaknesses of the Singapore Slingers.
They have to take this. 3 on the 24. Alexander drives. Alexander gets fouled. The bailout call against Alab.
That's right. Did not have to foul there, did Prince Williams. You see, as the shot clock was winding down to less than 4 seconds.
So far, so good for Alab Pilipinas with their zone.
And now you put Xavier Alexander on the free throw stripe. He is a 74% free throw shooter this season. You know, this is an area of his arsenal that he has really improved on. I think maybe 3 seasons ago he was only shooting at about 50% mix, and he has really brought it up to about 74%.
And yes, I remember last season or a couple of seasons ago when he would be tasked to take on the crucial free throws. Yep. It's not usually 100%.
That's right. That's right. There were times where he would pass off because he was concerned that he would be the one to get fouled in the clutch.
6 points currently for Alexander. Now Singapore Slingers rather now is in a zone.
Dropping to a zone of their own.
Vigil banks it off. Tip by DeGuara. Last touch. Alab Pilipinas, Singapore basketball.
By Singapore dropping to a 2-3 zone. I think this is a good adjustment here for Coach Jimmy Alapag, because Nick King allows them to space the floor a bit more, forces Anthony McLean to recover on defense instead of just parking himself inside the paint. But Delvin Go this time relieving Anthony McLean, so smaller lineup as well for the Slingers.
Tit for tat. Jimmy Alapag and Neo Bangshang. 30-21. Alab still leads.
Both these coaches, former Coach of the Year awardees. As Anghan Bin knocks down the 3-point shot.
6-point lead by Alab.
First second triple of the game.
Brickman and now Vigil at the wing. Getting extended minutes is Louis Vigil. Nick King up top. Hands it off to Vigil. Puts it up. Too strong. So Alab Pilipinas now kind of in a drought.
They've been scoreless for at least a couple of minutes already.
Elliott gets a screen from Han Bin. Offensive foul.
Screen was not yet set as Marcus Elliott went through it, and Louis Vigil, the guy, was able to pick up the offensive foul.
That was a hard screen.
It was a hard screen. And, you know, Ang Han Bin had previously retired after the end of last season, but it's nice to see him back in his Slingers uniform. Definitely his outside sniping is something that the Slingers need this season if they want to make a deep run.
Williams at the left wing against Elliott. Brickman goes up top. Brickman with the handles. Brickman drops it off. Oh, Alexander pushed him off. Oh, Nick King giving some high fives to the crowd over there. They're all good.
One thing you like about Jason Brickman, you see the angles. He's such good mastery of those passing angles and anticipating Nick King to make that move on the baseline.
Heading is back for Coach Jimmy Alapag. Jordan Heading actually started this game. He is a Phil Australian, wanting to make a mark in the pro leagues here in the Philippines. Brickman drives. Brickman looks for a teammate. Nick King puts it up. Too strong. Rebound Alexander. Now Elliott running the break. Elliott. Ang Han Bin. Now to Xavier against Williams. He has space. Puts it up. No go. Rebound Heading.
I see Alab fighting under the screen against Xavier Alexander. They're not really threatened by his three-point shooting.
Heading to King. To Williams. Tighter D by Singapore. 10 on the 24 for Alab. Williams drives. Williams drops it down, tapped it out by Singapore. Now running the break are the Slingers. Elliott. Trezonito gets fouled. Shot won't count.
That is one thing that's going to hurt San Miguel Alab Pilipinas. They had 15 turnovers in their last matchup against Singapore Slingers. Turnovers are going to hurt because Singapore loves to capitalize on those live ball turnovers.
Timeout by Coach Jimmy Alapag, and they lead 30-24. We will be back. Marco, another veteran for Singapore, is this guy, Leon Kwek.
Well, this is a guy who is a staple of their national team, also a staple of the Singapore Slingers, except for a couple of seasons ago where he took a season break for national service. But he is one of their best outside shooters or mid-range shooters, and he has proven that he can also hit the long ball. He was 3 out of 6 from the three-point line in their last game against Hong Kong Eastern for 9 points, averaging about 9 points per game for them this season, but only averaging about 5 points per contest against San Miguel Alab Pilipinas in their past 2 outings.
And 50% from the three-point area, made 3 3-pointers last game against Hong Kong Eastern. He is one of the guys that you will really depend on because, of course, teams will scout the 3 imports.
Yeah.
But what about the local production? Leon Kwek is right there for Singapore.
Well, normally among the locals, it's really Leon Kwek, Delvin Go, who are the more consistent scorers that Coach Neo Beng Shang depends on.
Rosa with a power rebound. Missed by Singapore. 30-24 is still the score. So Alab hasn't made a field goal for quite some time now.
Also Singapore, another 3-point shot. They've only connected on 2 in this ball game.
Williams against Elliott. At the high post is Nick King against Delvin Go. King, step back. Heading with the offensive board. Nick King puts it up. Still cannot find their mark. Now Elliott running it. Alexander has space. Jab step. Thinks about it. Back to Elliott. Elliott spins, drives, and gets blocked by Ganuelas Rosser.
That's excellent help defense.
Speaking of help defense, that was a great tap by Nick King. Brickman kicks it out to Ganuelas Rosser. Now heading for 3. Still no goal for Alab.
I was about to say excellent ball movement, ball whipping from side to side. That was a wide open shot for Jordan Heading, just left it short.
Elliott puts it up. Still signs of drought for both teams.
I don't think Marcos Elliott has connected on a three-point shot in this ball game.
Oh, Brickman, strong drive inside.
Jason Brickman, with his experience, can really take June Lim off the dribble almost every possession.
It's only number 13, Yuan, has connected on a 3 in the first. And Ong Han Bin in the second quarter. Miguel Alexander at the post, kicks it out to Leon Quick. Quick, oh, good drive, good job pass to Delvin Go with a slam.
And again, Leon Quick, because he is a threat.
32-26. Lim getting extended minutes for Coach Liu Bangshang. Williams for 3. Too short, Ganuelas Rosa tracks it down. Reverse.
And, you know, the role players, San Miguel Alab Pilipinas, really making their mark here on the floor. Brandon Rosser, earlier it was Lawrence Domingo.
Delvin Go now at the post against Ganuelas Rosser. Delvin Go spins. It's fouled by Rosser. 2 free throws for Delvin Go.
That's what Delvin Go has to do. But here's that move once again from Jason Brickman. Gets side to side against June Lim and able to kiss it off the glass. Alab so far 2 out of 2 from the free throw line. Singapore 4 out of 6 as we see that flush coming from the Singapore big man.
Delvin Go, as you mentioned, one of the trusted soldiers for the Singapore Slingers for quite some time now. Delvin Go's actually, he did score a point against Hong Kong, but had 2 rebounds and 4 assists. Now he has 8 points. Delvin Go.
Lawrence Domingo coming back in, replacing Brandon Ganuelas Roster. So this is a very athletic lineup, very quick lineup here for Alab.
Back to a man-to-man defense by Singapore. Heading to Gray up top. Gets a first step. Gray to King. 3 seconds on the 24. King heading, has to put it up. Still short. Jeremiah Gray skies high for the offensive rebound. Foul off the ball.
So much activity from the wings from San Miguel Alab Pilipinas when you have Jordan Heading and Jeremiah Gray, plus add to that Lawrence Domingo. Everybody loves to crash that offensive glass.
And speaking of Jordan Heading, he recently got married to his wife Lauren, and Lauren is actually pursuing a pro volleyball career here in the Philippines. Just moved here recently, just months before the start of the ABL season. And as I mentioned, he graduated from California Baptist in Adelaide, Australia. He is the school's leader in 3-point field goals made at 231. And he actually played for Batangilas when he was younger under Coach Olsen Rosella. He was teammates with Andre Carakut, his teammate now Isaac Go, Hubert Cani, and JJ Alejandro, just some of them. So he had some local experience, speaking of Jordan Heading.
And here he and Jeremiah Gray really add to that 3-point shooting of San Miguel Alab Pilipinas. They're 2 of the reasons why they are second in the league in terms of 3-point shooting at 36%. Jordan Heading averages about 34% from downtown. Jeremiah Gray, about 27%. Both of them athletes in their own right.
So an impromptu timeout by Coach Jimmy Alabag. Officials calling them out to resume play, and it's still Alab Pilipinas basketball. 7-point lead for Coach Jimmy. Brickman against Desmond. Brickman powers his way up. Drop pass to Lawrence Domingo inside.
It's like Jason Brickman is like a magician, finding the angles, anticipating the movement of his teammates. That time another beautiful bounce pass with the left.
Marcus Elliott, strong drive, no foul called. Great D by Maya Gray. You have to cross the timeline right now is Alab Pilipinas. King hands it off to Brickman. Brickman setting it up. Gets a screen from King. Brickman kicks it out. Maya for 3. Couldn't find their mark in the 3-point land. Leon Kwek steps back. Kicks it out to Delvin Go. Elliott drives to the left again with a familiar move, and he gets 2 free throws. Foul called on Jeremiah Gray.
And it's such an advantage for Coach Jimmy Alapag when you have a guy like Jeremiah Gray. As we see, this bounce pass, that's an excellent angle to get it from direct, and perfect angle to see that beautiful bounce pass from Jason Brickman to Lawrence Domingo. But as I was saying, Migs, such an advantage for Coach Jimmy Alapag to have a guy like Jeremiah Gray, a local player, have the ability to defend a world import like Marcus Elliott.
Marcus Elliott, a seasoned vet for the ABL. Has been in here and around, now playing for the Singapore Slingers.
He's an ABL champion and an ABL World Import MVP when he was with Hong Kong Eastern. And I think the past few games has really found his groove and found the chemistry between himself, Xavier Alexander, and the rest of the Singapore Slinger squad.
Heading with the rock, now to Brickman at the right wing. Brickman to Domingo up top. Gray has it. To King at the post. King has space. King knocks it down.
Asking for a foul as well. Slight confusion there between the Singapore defense on who was going to pick up, whether they were going to switch that baseline exchange.
A great backdoor cut. Delvin Go inside. Too strong on the lay-in. King with the board. Now King brings it down to Gray. Back to King. Now to Brickman. Brickman has space. Gets a first step. Oh, just quick feet. But Domingo wants to tap it in. And Brickman gets it. But Alexander dives it in. And Singapore basketball now, the Slingers are running the break. 3-2 attack. Marcus Elliott to Delvin Go. Powers his way in, but that's blocked by Jeremiah Gray. Now 3-on-1 fast break. Jeremiah King. Oh, give and go play to Gray inside.
Perfectly executed fast break. Nice give and go there. And then Nick King rewarding the defense of Jeremiah Gray.
So far, the biggest lead of the game for Alab at 11. Alexander to Elliott. Gets a screen from the X-Man. Elliott! Good drive inside. Jeremiah Gray, one of the good plays last sequence, and to extend that lead to 11. Meanwhile, timeout called on the floor. Alab Pilipinas leads by 9. A new addition for Alab Pilipinas is Prince Williams. He had a great first 2 games, scoring in double digits, but a dismal ball game against Mono Vampire.
Well, he had a lot of difficulty against the athletic wings of Mono Vampire. When you talk about guys like Tyler Lamb, Moses Morgan, even Mike Singletary, really had a lot of difficulty playing against them. And right now, he's only also been limited to just 3 points in the game so far. To go, he's 1 out of 3 from the field. Has yet to attempt any free throw, and I think he got hurt there in that earlier sequence in the first quarter, and might have affected his play here so far, as he is still on the bench for Coach Jimmy Alapag.
Currently averaging 18.5 points per game and close to 10 rebounds per ball game is Prince Williams.
This is only his 4th game as well for San Miguel Alab Pilipinas.
Heading, bringing it down to Gray, back to Brickman. 12-second difference between the clocks. Brickman to Domingo. Oh, good drop pass. Extra vision. Extra pass. Domingo to King.
And you wonder how long Coach Neo will keep Anthony McLean on that bench, as San Miguel Alab Pilipinas has gotten their will inside the paint with those incursions.
1-on-1. Elliott against Gray again. King has it. King and will dribble it out. as they finish this quarter strong, currently with an 11-point lead, as we can take a look at some of the highlights in the second quarter.
Great defense as well for San Miguel Alab Pilipinas. They've limited Singapore to just 12 points here in the second quarter, where they themselves have scored 17, highlighted by several penetrations from Jason Brickman. That fast break coming between Nick King and Jeremiah Gray. Jeremiah Gray with 10 points in the ball game. Nick King also in double figures with 10 points. Brickman with 7 for San Miguel Alab Pilipinas.
So far, so good for Alab Pilipinas ever since they adjusted to that zone defense late in the fourth quarter, and they lead now by a bigger dozen, 44-31. That is the end of the first two quarters, and we will be back for more ABL right here on SNA.
Our first player is John Allen Coleta. Mula saan? Marco Bolo. Kaya mo yan. Sige, in 3, 2, 1.
And this is the ASEAN Basketball League between Alab Pilipinas and the Singapore Slingers. Mix Bustos, Marco Benitez on call for tonight's game. And it has been a good game so far. Good first half for Alab Pilipinas, Marco.
For the Singapore Slingers, they're going to have to come out here in the third quarter more aggressive. Expect Alab to really force them to those outside shots to try to beat them from the outside. But guys like Xavier Alexander, Marcos Elliott, and Anthony McLean have to be more assertive on the offensive end, as nobody in double figures yet for the Singapore Slingers.
And speaking of assertive, Marcos Elliott knocks down the first basket of the second half. Heading, same starting five for Coach Jimmy. Brickman drops it down to DeGuara, but tapped it out by Anthony McLean. And there was a loose ball foul called on DeGuara.
That's going to be the first personal foul on Sam DeGuara. Only with 2 points so far, as he and McLean have so far neutralized each other.
If you're just tuning in, Jeremiah Gray and Nick King have been the top scorers for this game at 10 points apiece. Meanwhile, for Singapore, it is Delvin Go with 8 points. McLean struggles. And Alab Pilipinas ball, great D, showed by Sam DeGuara.
I see McLean really having a hard time getting into good post position against the 7'5" Sam DeGuara.
And you can see now Prince Williams has a bandage on his nose. It was hit earlier in the game. Brickman against Quick. Oh, escapes is Jason Brickman, but Sam DeGuara taps it in.
I have to give a lot of credit to Sam DeGuara, not giving up on the play, chasing after that shot attempt by Jason Brickman, and then that tip in for the offensive rebound and put back.
Step back by Elliott, but DeGuara tracks it down. Brickman gets a screen from DeGuara. Quick is behind. Drops it down to DeGuara, kicks it out, heading for three. Finally makes one is Jordan Heading after struggling for a long time earlier in the second quarter, and miscommunication on the offense by Delvin Go and the Slingers. Meanwhile, Franny Reyes has this report. Franny, go ahead.
Migs and Marco, Marcus Elliott told me that they came here with one goal in mind, and that's to handle business. However, playing the Alab space has left them trailing behind. Elliott told me that they've been working on communication, focus, and energy. And right now, they have to match their opponent's energy, especially on those offensive boards. Not only that, they have to avoid those defensive lapses that we saw earlier in the first half. Let's see if the Singapore Slingers can turn this game around. Back to you guys.
The story has been energy.
Yeah.
For both teams when they were making a run in the first half, Marco.
And you know, San Miguel Alab Pilipinas is a team that thrives on offense. So because of their good start, that really set the tone for them. Meanwhile, Singapore Slingers is a team that thrives on defense. Since they've not been able to make successive good stops, they've really not gotten their entire game going so far.
And Alab and Singapore have split their season series. Their first game was back in December 15. Alab defeated Singapore by 7 points, 90-83. And then last January 12, Singapore defeated Alab 85-64. And now Alab is on track to defeat Singapore twice, but still early on to predict that. Currently with a 16-point lead.
Still very much in the game are the Slingers. Remember, they were down by 15 against Hong Kong Eastern last Friday, but you could say fatigue might also be a factor. This is their third game in about 5 days.
Sam DeGuara getting triple teamed, quadruple teamed. Jason Brickman off balance, 3-on-1 break. Elliott, Alexander, back to Elliott. Elliott! Strong finish.
Let's see if that gets Marcus Elliott and Xavier Alexander going. Defense leading to offense for the Singapore Slingers. Lead is down to 12.
You can see this fast break. Alexander back to Elliott, and Heading couldn't do anything anymore. As the high flyer, the explosive Marcus Elliott with a strong finish inside. 12-point lead by Alab Pilipinas. Brickman kicks it out. Williams drives again to Brickman. Brickman fakes. Brickman drops it off and kicks it out to Heading for three. Alexander with the rebound.
That's a good shot there. Jason Brickman penetrating and then kicking it out. Singapore now dropping to a zone.
Elliott steps back, puts it up. Loose ball foul called on, I believe that was on Delvin Go.
That's right, it's going to go against Delvin Go. So excellent box out there by the smaller Jordan Heading.
This is the starting five for both teams. Brickman calling a play. Biguara up top, setting a screen. Brickman navigates. Off balance, he was pushed off, but no foul called.
He was expecting Heading to be at that right corner, but Heading flaring or moving to that right side wing. Nobody there to catch the pass from Jason Brickman.
Alexander now on the double. Elliott rotates. Quek for three. That's good.
That's a big shot for Leon Quek. Second triple of the game. Only the third for the Singapore Slingers.
49-40. Back to single digits is the lead for Alab. Inside to outside to Deguara. Hands it off to Brickman. Brickman puts it up. Too strong. Rebound Go. Elliott now with the rock. Alexander at the post against the smaller Heading. McLean is up top. Hands it off to Leon Quek. Made a three previously. Quek back to Go. Open for a three. Back-to-back threes for the Slingers. And Coach Jimmy Alapag couldn't take it any longer. That was just a long two by Delvin Go, but still back-to-back baskets for the Slingers. Timeout Alab Pilipinas.
Once again, I would like to invite everyone to watch the next game of Alab Pilipinas versus Westport's Malaysia Dragons on February 4, 8 p.m. live on I1 and ASEAN Basketball League on YouTube, with the latest telecast on February 5 at 11 a.m. on ABS-CBN SNN. Virtual program has been sent to Macau Black Bears on Sunday of Saigon Heat, Macau Basketball League, and Taipei Fubon Braves.
And this was some of the festivities earlier at the halftime. Kobe Bryant fan. Skyhook. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But then earlier we had a segment wherein our host called on fans who were wearing Kobe Bryant merchandise or any shirts, jerseys, and just having fun inside the Santa Rosa Multipurpose Complex.
Have you tried that? That's so difficult to get a decent shot off
I haven't tried it though.
after spinning.
Have you? Not yet.
Not yet. But from what I've seen the past several games where they've done that, as we see these Kobe Bryant fans really enjoying themselves here.
Now, whether you loved him or you hated him, you cannot deny the fact of what Kobe Bryant has brought to the game of basketball. A generational icon. And again, our deepest condolences to the Bryant family and the Kobe. You'll always be in our hearts. Domingo is inside. Williams against Elliott. Brickman drives. Oh, with an off-foot layup. Just couldn't find the English, couldn't find the mark. Alexander with a rock. Alexander drives. It's just a 7-point lead by Alab Pilipinas.
Xavier Alexander apologizing to his coach because of that missed layup. So you're going to start to see Xavier Alexander really be more aggressive, especially going downhill in transition.
That was a lucky break for the Slingers. As you mentioned, back to Zone D, Alab Pilipinas. Delvin Go open, powers his way up. Foul called down low, shot won't count.
Good decision there on the part of Delvin Go. Did not see any Sam DeGuara manning the paint, so he knows they have the advantage height-wise between him and Anthony McLean.
Marco, what does Delvin Go bring to the floor? He does not really produce much on offense, but why is he in there?
Well, for one thing, he's a guy who's used to the system of Coach Neo Bengshang, so he knows where to be, especially like for example here against a zone. He knows where to position himself. He's a decent mid-range shooter, and he also loves to crash the board. So he averages about 8 to 10 rebounds per ball game. So he gives him that stability in terms of the locals for Coach Neo Bengshang.
Louis Vigil now in the ball game. Played for the USC Growling Tigers during his collegiate career. Alexander to Kwek at the corner for 3. Leon Kwek 2 threes in this quarter, and don't look now. It is only a 4-point lead by Alab Pilipinas after leading by as much as 16, 12-0 run by the Singapore Slingers.
That's the start here, the third quarter that Coach Neo was looking for coming from his squad.
Maya Gray puts it up. Rebound McLean.
And so far, Alab has been limited to just 1 shot attempt per possession.
Elliott, crucial possession by Singapore. Delvin Go at the post. Alexander cutting. A good find inside, but couldn't get it through is Anthony McLean. Now Vigil running the break. Vigil to Domingo. Drops it down to Nick King.
Another great assist there. Another great play coming from Lawrence Domingo.
51-45, and Alab Pilipinas answers back. Elliott to Alexander. Back to Go. Slide tap by Vigil. Delvin Go posting up. Power dribble. Kicks it out to Elliott. Back to Kwek. Kwek now to Alexander for 3. Too strong. Rebound McLean. McLean powers it up. Finally gets a basket for Anthony McLean.
And without Sam DeGuara in the paint, Anthony McLean can really exploit his height and his heft, especially against that zone.
Fake handoff by King to Domingo. Kicks it out to Gray. Extra pass to Brickman. Brickman drives. Extra pass to Domingo. Gets fouled by Leon Kwek. So you're okay, Marco, even if Anthony McLean is inside and DeGuara is out.
If you're San Miguel Alab Pilipinas, you feel that you have the advantage, especially if you can move the ball around quickly, just like what happened in that sequence. But you cannot fall into a half-court game against a veteran Singapore Slingers squad unless you keep forcing them to shoot from the outside. Because if they keep shooting from the outside, tendency is the rebound also goes far from the rim, so that negates the presence of Anthony McLean inside the paint. But if Singapore is able to get in the paint, especially the past 2 or 3 possessions, then McLean is able to get or to jockey for those offensive rebounds. He and Delvin Go can really make matters worse against San Miguel Alab Pilipinas.
It's the question now for defense of Alab Pilipinas if they can contain McLean and force the others to take shots. Ong Hang Bin is in the ball game, still zone D for Alab. High-low to McLean from Go. McLean puts it in.
And you like the strategy of Singapore not settling for outside shots, really trying to find the gaps. That time high-low between McLean or Devin Go and Anthony McLean, and which sends Sam DeGuara off the bench for Coach Jimmy Alapag.
He couldn't take it any longer. It's Coach Jimmy had to put in some big presence to defend Anthony McLean. Now Singapore Slingers gets a stop. Elliott kicks it out. Han Bin for 3. That's the tie. Slingers on a good run to tie this ball game at 52, and Coach Jimmy Alapag calls a timeout. Again, Alab Pilipinas and Singapore Slingers are tied at 52.
Santa Rosa makes some noise for San Miguel Alab Pilipinas! Again, we'd like to invite everyone to please pakiwasan po natin gamit ng flash and you can follow Alab Pilipinas on Instagram at Alab Pilipinas and on Facebook at
Alexander. And this one was one of the key baskets that inched Singapore Slingers closer, and Ong Hang Bin with the equalizer with a corner three. Slingers are now on a 19-3 run to tie this game at 52.
And the thing about the run mix, it's not one quick spurt. It's a methodical, well-executed run wherein they really broke down the defense of San Miguel Alab Pilipinas. They moved the ball around, played excellent defense on one end, limited Alab to one shot attempt per possession, and then hit good shots, had good shot selection on their offensive end of the floor.
Who is key now for the Slingers currently?
Well, I think for them, Leon Kwek has been key, Delvin Go has been key, and Anthony McLean has been. It's been an all-around effort by the five on the floor.
Brickman with the rock. Deguara is in to match up against Anthony McLean and perhaps dictate tempo for Alab. Double high screen. Brickman gets a screen from Deguara, and he will be called for an offensive foul.
That's going to be the second personal foul on Sam Deguara. And the defense of Singapore has really picked up. You see this sequence once again, that slight extension of the right side of Sam Deguara.
Delvin Go against Jeremiah Gray up top. Hands it up to Ong Han Bin. Alexander drives, left hand layup, gets fouled on the way up. Crashes at the baseline, but he's okay. Domingo called for the foul.
And you know, interestingly, no Nick King, no Prince Williams on the floor for San Miguel Alab Pilipinas. So outside of Sam Deguara, it's a local lineup for the white shirts.
Meanwhile, all the imports for Coach Neo Bangshang is inside the ball game for Singapore.
But Coach Neo Bangshang not really going deep into his rotation. Outside of Leon Kwek, Delvin Go, and Ang Han Bin, I think he's only used Kelvin Lim and June Lim.
Alexander. Oh, out of two from that trip. Brickman. Staggered screen, elevator screen. Uses it. Maya at the post. I'll make that Deguara at the post. Oh, up and under move by Sam Deguara. Couldn't find a way to get it in.
I think he's learned a lot. He's learned a thing or two from Eric Menk. Coach Eric Menk on the side of San Miguel Alab Pilipinas was just not able to finish.
Of course, known as Major Pain. Played a stellar career in the pros is Eric Menk. Drops it off inside. Alab gets a steal, now running the break. Brickman hands it off. Gray for three. Oh, all air on that one.
And you know, one thing about this lineup of Singapore as well, you have Xavier Alexander matched up against Jason Brickman, so making things a little more difficult for Jason Brickman as Heading comes in the ball game, replacing Jeremiah Gray.
Back to man for Alab Pilipinas. 52 all is still the score. 19-3 blast with Singapore to tie this ball game. Delvin Go, high-low again to McLean. One-on-one against Deguara. Backs down, Anthony McLean. Reverse. Oh, he was called for a late foul. Late call rather for a foul by Deguara.
And that's going to be the third personal foul on Deguara, so he has to be careful. There's Anthony McLean methodically backing down against Sam Deguara, and on the last second got a piece of the forearm of the Singapore big man.
Anthony McLean this season averaging 16 points. Misses on the first, 14 rebounds per game. Had 18 and 16 last game versus Hong Kong.
Now there you see Nick King. You saw Prince Williams and Brandon Rosser on the bench for Alab Pilipinas.
Second try on this trip. 1 out of 2. Anthony McLean. Adjusting now, it's the Slingers. Picking up full court. Heading against Elliott. To DeGuara. Hands it off to Louis Vigil. Vigil with a floater. Finally knocks one down for Alab Pilipinas.
Instant offense, Louis Vigil. Great handoff there, and then the floater from about 15 feet.
Breaks the silence for Alab Pilipinas. They're now up by 1. Chance of defense by the home crowd. Elliott drives, kicks it out. Delvin Go to Alexander. To the corner is Elliott. He puts it up, knocks it down.
That's a big shot there from Marcus Elliott. Again, patient offense coming from the Singapore Slingers.
Go-ahead basket by Marcus Elliott. They're now up by 1. Last shot time for Alab Pilipinas. Brickman with a rock. Moves. Brickman hesitates to heading. Puts it up. Too short. Delvin Go tracks the rebound. And a great third quarter for the Singapore Slingers to get this lead to end the third. We can see some of the highlights. That was the 3 knockdown earlier by Jordan Heading off a DeGuara pass, and Elliott with a fast break finish.
Well, this was really a quarter where Singapore made a lot of headway coming off that deficit at the half, moving the ball around excellently, hitting their 3 points. I believe they had about 3 triples in the third quarter alone. Right now they are 5 out of 10 from long distance. They started out the third quarter 2 out of 6.
After the first 3 quarters of play, Singapore leads 55-54. We will be back for more of ABL. You're still watching the ABL live on SNA Mix Bustos. Marco Benitez on call for tonight's action. And Marco, what a great third quarter by Singapore.
Very similar to the third quarter they had in their previous encounter where Singapore outscored Alab 24-11. This third quarter, it was a 24-12 advantage for the Singapore Slingers. So really grabbing the lead back from what was once a 9-point or 11.
Virtual playground in Alab Pilipinas would like to thank AirAsia in Empress of Alab Pilipinas versus West Sports Malaysia Dragons on February 4th, 8 p.m. live on I1 and ASEAN Basketball League on YouTube. With the late telecast on February 5 at 11 a.m. on ABS-CBN at 7. Virtual playground in Alab Pilipinas would like to thank AirAsia in Empress San Miguel Virtual, Magnolia, Petrol, Gatorade, and Delvin Sportswear.